Thank you, Dr. Krishna. Today's topic, how to qualify and serve as an effective independent director. In recent past, for the professional community in this country, like chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, and MBAs, a lot of good opportunities for professional growth have come on their way from the side of the government. And as I keep saying, it is perhaps first time, at least in my knowledge, that the government is posing so much of trust, faith, and confidence in the professional community that they are giving them a lot of responsibilities which otherwise are to be discharged by the government employees. One such opportunity which has come on the way of we professionals, chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, MBAs, and other professionals, is the opportunity of being an independent director. But this opportunity is obviously extremely attractive, at the same time very demanding, very challenging. And it, in my view, becomes the responsibility of the accounting, finance, and legal fraternity to ensure that this opportunity which has come on their way is not frittered away. Rather, it is fully tapped, and the confidence which the government of India has posed in the professionals, they live up to that expectation and ensure that the aims and objectives of the government of India of improving corporate governance through the appointment of independent directors becomes a reality. Let me start with a small story. Once Rasochi was not having any work to do, and therefore he was sitting on the bank of a river. रात का समय था, नदी के किनारे बैठा हुआ था रसोची, तो पास में उसे एक बैग दिखाई दिया. उसने बैग उठाया और बैग में हाथ डाला तो उसे लगा कि कुछ कंकड़ हैं उस बैग के अंदर. तो रसोची के पास कुछ काम तो था नहीं, टाइम पास करना था उसने. तो उसने क्या किया, सारी रात टाइम पास करने के लिए रसोची ने उस बैग में से एक एक करके कंकड़ बाहर निकाले और वो नदी में फेंकता गया. पूरी रात उसने ऐसा किया. तभी जब सुबह होने को थी और आखिरी कंकड़ उसके हाथ में बचा था और वो उसको फेंकने ही वाला था कि सूरज की पहली किरण उस कंकड़ पर पड़ी. और जब उस कंकड़ पर पड़ी तो उसमें से एक चमक आई तो रसोची चौंक गया. और रसोची ने देखा कि वो जो उसके हाथ में था वो कंकड़ नहीं, हीरा था. रसोची अपना सिर पकड़ के बैठ गया, क्योंकि इतनी बढ़िया, इतने हीरे जवाहरात उसके हाथ में थे. और उसने क्या किया, अज्ञानवश वो सारे हीरे जवाहरात नदी में फेंक दिए. इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर की अपॉर्चुनिटी for we professionals, we chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, MBAs, and many other professionals is one such opportunity. And we should not throw it away the way Rasochi threw all those diamonds in his hand. And that is what prompted me, friends, to design and develop this program and also deliver, to guide, to help each other, to help myself, and also help all my professional colleagues as to how this wonderful opportunity can be made full use of. So what is the plan that we have for today? What is our objective behind this program? Friends, the purpose behind today's session is number one, to understand as to why independent. Friends, sometimes you can experience that my voice is breaking, and when you get that feeling that my voice is breaking, I immediately get a signal on my screen that the internet connection are weak. So in such cases, what do? I stop talking and wait for that message to disappear. So once that message disappears, that means my audibility with you has become normal. So whenever you suddenly find me that I'm not speaking, do not worry. It's only because I'm just waiting for that message to disappear. So what is the purpose of this session? Number one, to understand as to why independent directors are required. Remember, the aim and the objective of the government of India behind making independent director mandatory for the companies, and only those people who have passed the qualifying test, proficiency test. The idea behind the government is not to give another revenue stream to the professionals in this country, no. The idea, aim and objective of the government of India behind bringing this mandatory proficiency test and mandatory appointment of independent directors is to ensure that the quality of corporate governance in this country improves. Unfortunately or incidentally, in last few decades, we have seen so many bad examples of corporate governance failure at the individual level and also at the corporate level. Lot of professionals who were supposed to be the icons as far as the industry was concerned, as far as the banking was concerned, unfortunately, these so-called icon turned out to be a big blot on the corporate governance canvas. Likewise, many companies, and all those companies are in the knowledge of every one of us, they failed, and they failed because of the failure of the corporate governance. One of the reasons as to why these companies failed is because the people who were appointed as independent directors on the board of these companies, perhaps they failed in doing their duty. And that is why the government of India said, let us standardize, let us bring more sanctity to this process of appointment of independent directors. And so, because of all these corporate governance failures in the past, the government made it mandatory to have the independent directors appointed on the boards of the company. And they also made it mandatory that all such independent directors should pass a test which is known as proficiency test before they could become eligible to be appointed as the independent director. And one thing that I would like to share here itself, a lot of professionals who passed this exam, proficiency test, they thought that now they should be flooded with the offers of being appointed as independent director. And that did not happen. It was not expected also to happen. Why? Because this proficiency test is only to ensure that there is a minimum standard of people who come on the boards of the company as independent director. Why is it so? Because in the past, there have been umpteen examples where a gardener, a driver, a watchman, they were appointed as independent director only to ensure that the compliance was fulfilled. And remember, it doesn't make any sense. And so some people who try to fool the system by having their own people on the boards of the company as independent director with a view to ensure that they do not succeed in doing so, the government of India has brought out this proficiency test, which is mandatory today for everybody and anybody who wishes to be appointed as independent director on the boards of the companies. Now, how to become an independent director? Today, for you to become an independent director, number one, you must have the conviction. You must have a feeling that you have something which you can share on the boards of the company for those companies to create more value. So if you have that belief, if you have that conviction that you have something, you have some knowledge, some understanding, some experience, some wisdom that you can share with the corporates, with the companies, for those companies to create more value. So if you have that conviction, you are a fit person to be appointed as an independent director. But that conviction is not enough. Today, if you want to be appointed as an independent director, then you have to qualify, you have to pass this proficiency test, which is online, extremely user friendly. So when I say extremely user friendly, it only means that you do not have to go anywhere. You can sit and write this exam sitting in the comforts of your own house or of your own office. Sitting from there, you can do it, and it is completely system driven. Everything is taken care of by the system. No physical vigilance is required, nor you have to go to an examination center. But you have to have a minimum knowledge. Minimum knowledge of what? Minimum knowledge of accounts, finance, Companies Act, and the SEBI regulations. So once you have that minimum understanding of these 4 areas, then you can write this exam, you can pass this exam. And once you pass this exam, then your name reaches to the database, which is maintained by the IICA, which is an institute under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So your name is entered in their database, and today anybody who wants to, any company, any listed company or a limited company for whom it is mandatory to have an independent director on their board, those companies can approach the database of MCA, and from that database they can pick up the name today and have that gentleman on the board of their company. So this is the process, friends, how to become independent director today. More than that, our purpose in this session today is how to serve as an effective independent director. I do not want to join a board of a company merely to be for this namesake. I would like to go on the board of a company so that I am able to add value to that company. Only if I am able to add value to that company, I would like to join board of a company and not otherwise. So how to become valuable to a company? What is that we need as an individual? What is that we need to become a successful independent director? That is also a purpose of this session. So I'm going to discuss with you, share with you as to what are the roles and expectations from such independent director. And I'm sure the roles and expectations which I'm going to discuss with you in this session, if those roles and expectations are taken care by you as an individual, I have no doubt in my mind that you will prove to be an excellent independent director. Whichever company you may join as an independent director, I am sure you will be able to add tremendous value to that organization. And that is what the government of India is looking for. And that is what is our responsibility to ensure. So this, friends, these are the purposes that we have for today's session. How are we going to progress in the whole session today? So first, let's understand, why do companies need board of directors? I'm sure, friends, in the audience today, when this session is being telecast, many of you are professionals. When I say professional, that means you are accounting, finance, or legal professionals. Many of you are not accounting, finance, or legal professional. You are from some other profession, but then you feel that you have a competency and capability to be on the board of a company as an independent director. So therefore, I would like to share at the outset as to why do the companies need board of directors. अब देखिए, बहुत सिंपल सी बात है. शुरू में छोटे छोटे बिजनेस थे, बिजनेस का साइज बहुत छोटा था. तो एक आदमी बिजनेस को चालू करता था और वो ही पैसा लगाता था, वो ही बिजनेस को चलाता था. छोटा बिजनेस था, तो अगर बिजनेस ने नुकसान किया तो ये जो ओनर है उसका नुकसान, बिजनेस ने फायदा किया तो जो ओनर है उसका फायदा. So there was no other third party stake in this company, and therefore there was no need for any kind of regulation. Business बड़े हुए, so then you started needing more capital. So when you started needing more capital, obviously you needed to invite people from outside. So when somebody is coming from outside, then he is bringing his money and putting into the company. Now, size of the company also has grown, and therefore, since the size of the company has grown, it is not possible for one person to run such a company, and therefore, the need was felt to have board of directors. Why board of directors? Because business का size बड़ा है, तो बड़े size के business को manage करने के लिए you need people who are coming from diverse background, so that they are able to give input to various aspects of the business. वो marketing हो, finance हो, technology हो, procurement हो, execution हो, and all that. So that is why you felt the need for the board of directors was felt, and the companies started having board of directors. Then what happened? Then there were many failures. What failures? The board of directors invariably were the owner appointed board of directors, and since they were either the owners themselves or they were the nominees of the owners sitting on the board of the company, and therefore the independence was missing, and that means most of these directors were yes man director. So whatever the owner would say, they would simply say yes, and the owner says no, then they would say no. Therefore, in many of the cases, these companies failed. And why failed? Because of a lot of wrong practices that were committed by the promoter, director, and things like that. So therefore, then the need was felt that how to put a check on these malpractices, and therefore this concept of independent director. So what is independent director? Independent director, as the name suggests, is a person who is joining on the board of a company. He does not have any relationship whatsoever with the promoters of the company, with the other board members of the company, with any associate of the company, with any joint venture of the company, subsidiary of the company, holding company of the company, and things like that. And nor he has got any kind of business dealing with this company, neither as a customer, nor as a supplier, nor in any other position. He is completely independent. That means he is completely independent. Why this need was felt? This need was felt because if a person is coming as an independent director, then he would not be a yes man, and therefore he would be able to keep a check on the functioning of the board of a company. Unfortunately, even though many directors were appointed as independent director, but they were independent director only for the namesake. And why do I say they were independent director only for the namesake? Because these were the people who did not have any relationship. These were the people who were not related with the promoter or their subsidiary or their holding company or their joint venture or their promoter, things like that. But otherwise they were completely related. And that was one problem. Second problem was many of these so-called independent directors who joined on the board of the company did not have any understanding as far as the functioning of the corporate was concerned. And therefore, they were sitting on the board of a company just like a spectator, not contributing anything. And so just to overcome that, this new provision of qualified independent director. And so friends, this is how the need for independent director arose, and this is how this is how a person is an independent director. So independent director का मतलब क्या है? Independent director का simple सा मतलब ये है, number one, this person has passed this examination, has qualified this proficiency test. Number two, he does not have any kind of relationship as per the provisions of section 149 and 150 of the Companies Act, any relationship whatsoever with the promoters or the owners or the directors and things like that. Idea, he should be able to independently raise his voice, contribute on the discussions and the deliberations of the company. Now, if you really ask me, friends, if you really ask me, independent director, of course, is a very significant corporate governance reform, very significant corporate governance reforms. And there have been a lot of discussions and deliberations. There is a set of people who feel that independent director, uh, uh, how will they qualify for the test and things like that. But let me tell you, whatever people might say is a fantastic concept. It has to be implemented. It has to be implemented with a whole hearted dedication and commitment, even by the government of India. As a matter of fact, today the system is a company, a company to whom appointment of independent director has become mandatory. Today the requirement is that they can go to the database and pick up any person of their choice who has qualified this test. In my understanding, in my understanding, we have to go one step further, and we have to really make this process completely independent. And therefore, the board of the listed companies or the limited companies to whom appointment of independent director is mandatory. Now, these companies, in my view, should not be allowed to pick up a person of their choice. Why? Because that is what is happening. So many of these companies who already have some independent director, now they're already yes men in many of the cases, not in all the cases. Now what is happening is the same people are passing this exam, the same people are coming on the board of these companies. Now that independence is missing. So in my view, what the government has to go one step forward and ensure that the choice of who should be appointed on the board of a company should be left with a centralized agency. That agency can be SEBI, that agency can be MCA, or it can be IICA. But it should not be left with the company to pick up as to whom they would like to have as an independent director. Why? Because the moment you appoint a person of your choice, the independence is gone and the whole purpose is defeated. I am sure since the government has been so proactive in all these matters in the past, I am sure with the passage of time, they too would realize that something has to be done on this front, and they would definitely go for this provision that the companies will not have the choice of picking an independent director from the database of their choice. Rather, they will specify their requirement, and the IICA or MCA or SEBI, they can pick up anyone from the database, appoint that person as an independent director. Now, with this understanding, friends, how the professionals should take this opportunity. Now, before how do the chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, and other professionals who are eligible to be appointed as an independent director. Now, invariably, please understand, all these opportunities are available only for the practicing professional. Somebody who is working as an employee, these opportunities may not be available because they will have a contractual obligation. So if I'm working with a company as a full-time employee, that company may not really want me to take up any assignment with other company as an independent director, because then there's going to be conflict of interest. So these opportunities are basically available for the practicing professional. How should they take this opportunity? Now, in my view, people should not take this opportunity of being appointed as an independent director as another revenue stream for them, because then the whole purpose is defeated. Rather, they should take this as an opportunity to make their mark on the economy of this country. So if a person is appointed as an independent director on the board of a company, and with his knowledge, expertise, understanding, business acumen, if he is able to help that company create more value, remember, it is his direct contribution to the economy of the country. And in my view, this is how the professionals should look at the independent director's role, because that is how the government also expects the professionals to do. I'm sure all the professionals will definitely do it that way. So few basic informations friends which I would share with you. Number one कि कौन कौन सी कंपनियां हैं और कौन कौन सी कंपनियां हैं जिनके लिए appointment of independent director is mandatory. I am sure by now all of you are completely clear as to who is an independent director. I am sure all of you are also clear as to why the need for independent director arose, and I am sure you are also clear as to who can be appointed as an independent director. Now let us look at as to which are the companies for whom appointment of independent director is mandatory. Number one, in case of listed companies, and listed companies, that means companies whose shares are getting traded on the stock markets, 1/3 as per the Companies Act, 1/3 of the board has to comprise of independent director. It has to comprise of independent director. And it's not that it is only in case of listed companies, even in case of unlisted companies. So when I say unlisted companies, unlisted limited companies. So in case of unlisted company, also there is a mandatory requirement of appointment of minimum 2 independent directors in 3 situations. Number one, just if the company's paid up capital is more than 10 crore, then this company has to have two independent directors on the board of the company. If company's turnover, company is not listed, it is a limited company but not listed on the stock market, and its turnover is more than 100 crore, in that case also this company will have to have at least 2 independent directors. Or if the aggregate amount of all the debts put together of the company are more than 50 crore or more, in that case also, even if this company is not listed on stock market, this company will have to have minimum 2 independent directors. So what we are saying is, in case if there is a company whose either the paid up capital is more than 10 crore, or the turnover is more than 100 crore, or the debt size is more than 50 crores, in that case, even if this company, if it is a limited company and it is not listed on the stock market, even if it is not listed on the stock market, this company will have to have minimum 2 independent directors. Now there is one more thing in here. Now there is something called as LODR, which is the SEBI regulations. Now that is listing obligations and disclosure requirements. So a company which is listed on a stock market has to comply with the LODR, and LODR is listing obligations and disclosure requirements. That means when a company is getting listed on a stock market, this company signs a contract, this company signs a listing agreement, and this company also has to comply with the regulations which are brought out by SEBI from time to time. One of the regulation is LODR. As per the LODR, if a company is having an executive chairman meaning what? That means the chairman of the company is in full-time employment of the company. In that case, this company will have to have board which is more than 50% of independent directors. But if this company has non-executive chairman, that means the chairman of the company is not a full-time employee of the company, in that case this company will need to have a board of directors which is comprising of 1/3 or more of the independent directors. This is the requirement as per the LODR and as per the Companies Act, as far as the obligation of the companies listed or unlisted but a limited company. Now, how to serve as an effective independent director, and this friends is the focal point. I will come towards the end as to how to prepare and pass the exam of the independent directors in the end. But before that, our main focus through this program is to share knowledge with all the people who either have passed the proficiency test of being appointed as an independent director, or who are wanting to be pass that exam and offer themselves to become an independent director. So our objective in this session is to share with them what are the requirements so as to be a successful independent director. ऐसा ना हो कि रसोची की तरह हमारे हाथ में हीरे जवाहरात, हम उनको कंकड़ समझ के नदी में फेंक दें. दैट इज वाई दिस सेशन. So how to serve as an effective independent director? Number one, please remember, being on the board of a company as an independent director is a leadership position. As a practicing chartered accountant, practicing company secretary, practicing lawyer, practicing cost accountant, you are in a different role. You are in a different role. You are more in the role of an advisor. But when you are joining a company's board as an independent director, remember that is a leadership position. That is a leadership position. That means more than an advisor. Now, instead of doing the staff function, now you are expected to do more line function. That means you have to take more decisions than doing merely advice. So remember, the first requirement is it is a leadership position, and therefore if you and I, if anyone wishes to be appointed as an independent director, he has to cultivate himself. He has to rediscover himself as a leader, find out as to know what all should I do so that I am able to discharge the role in the role discharge the role as a leader. Number two is we have to be very clear about the role and expectation. कि भाई अगर मैं एक कंपनी का इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर करके अपॉइंट होता हूँ तो what am I supposed to be doing? Is it that खाली जाके बोर्ड मीटिंग हो गई, शुरू हो गई, जाके बैठ जाने का, सब लोग जो बोल रहे हैं उसको सुनने का और कुछ अपनी तरफ से बोल के निकल जाने का सिटिंग फीस लेके? Is that so? No, not at all. Not at all. So second thing that we need to be need to be an effective independent director is to have a role clarity. I must be completely clear in my mind as to when I am going on the board of a company as an independent director, what are the expectations of that company from me as an independent director? And what can I do and what should I do to ensure that I am able to take care of all those expectations, I am able to fulfill that role which is expected of me. So we will understand as to what is the role and expectation. Number three, financial literacy. If somebody is a chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, practicing lawyer, or an MBA who is not in employment but as an advisor or consultant, he is working independently. Now these people invariably will have good knowledge of finance. This is what one would expect. But the people who do not have the financial background, they will have to prepare themselves. As a matter of fact, I am sure जब हम आगे बढ़ेंगे तो even the practicing chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers and MBAs, as we progress forward, they will also realize कि नहीं, अगर मुझे सक्सेसफुल इंडिपेंडेंट रोल डायरेक्टर का रोल अदा करना है तो मुझे भी मेरी फाइनेंस की नॉलेज को और एनहेंस करना पड़ेगा. सो क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा उसमें, this is what we will look at actually. And last but not the least, ability to facilitate good corporate governance. Ability to facilitate good corporate governance. Friends, देखिए, when a company fails, when a company closes because of corporate governance issues, it is not a loss only to the shareholders of that company. It is not a loss only for the suppliers of that company or employees of that company. Whenever a company is closing down, it is a loss for the entire economy of the country. And I'm sure you can feel and realize as to how if a company is closing down, how closing down of this company is a loss to the entire economy. And please understand, if it is a loss to the entire economy, then directly and indirectly, it is a loss to me and to you also. And why is that so? And that is because if loss is happening to the economy, that means the government's revenues are falling short. And if the government's revenues are falling short, government has to raise these revenues from somewhere. They have certain sources, but they have one major source, and that is taxes. So ultimately, घुमा फिरा के अगर कोई कंपनी बंद होती है तो डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली उसका इम्पैक्ट आपके ऊपर और मेरे ऊपर भी पड़ता है. And that is why remember independent director. So as an independent director, please pay attention and make a mark, make a note of it. As an independent director on the board of a company, you are not representing a small shareholder. Or if you are a woman independent director, you are not representing the woman independent director. You are not representing the vendors or customers. As an independent directors, please remember you are representing the whole economy on the board of that company. Your responsibility, our responsibility as an independent director is much more than the normal director, because normal directors have certain obligations to fulfill, and we have not only those obligations to fulfill as an independent director, but we have one more obligation to fulfill, and that is to ensure that the functioning of the board of directors of that company is smooth, is systematic, is proper. There are no corporate governance issues. And therefore the fourth quality that you and I need for becoming a successful independent director, and that is ability to facilitate good corporate governance by that company. And if we are able to ensure that the company on which we are there as independent director, if this company is taking care of the corporate governance matters, then this company will certainly be doing well. This company will definitely be creating value. And if this company is creating value, that means what? That means the economy is getting benefited. And if the economy is getting benefited, please remember it is because of your contribution as an independent director on the board of this company. So you can really give a big pat to yourself in that case. So friends, these are the four things that we are going to cover now. Leadership position I am not discussing, because leadership you all understand. Leadership you all understand. So but for the remaining thing what we should do, I am certainly going to discuss. Leadership के लिए तो खाली है कि आपको याद रखना है लीडर का मतलब क्या है. लीडर का मतलब है to do what you are supposed to be doing, and that's all. As an independent director, what you are supposed to be doing, just do that. That means you are an independent director. As an independent director, what you are supposed to be doing, you are supposed to ensure that the company creates value. You are supposed to ensure that the company takes care of the corporate governance. Ensure that, and you are being a leader. Now let us look at the second point, and that is clarity about role and expectations. So as an independent director, what is expected of me by the company? What is my role expected by the company? What is that I am supposed to be doing on the board of that company? And that is what it is. Number one, as a board member, even if you are independent director, remember you are a board member. As a board member, one thing which is expected from you or any independent director is to provide vision, give direction, extend supervision, ensure control in realization of value creation. यानी कि कंपनी वैल्यू क्रिएट करे, इस सब के लिए आपको ये करना है. प्रोवाइड विजन, गिव डायरेक्शन, एक्सटेंड सुपरविजन, एंश्योर कंट्रोल. कंट्रोल का मतलब क्या है? कंट्रोल का मतलब ये है, कंट्रोल इज लाइक अ ब्रेक इन अ कार. सो जिस तरह से गाड़ी में ब्रेक होते हैं, गाड़ी में ब्रेक गाड़ी की स्पीड को रोकने के लिए नहीं होते हैं, गाड़ी को स्लो करने के लिए नहीं होते हैं. गाड़ी में ब्रेक इसलिए होते हैं ताकि गाड़ी बराबर तरीके से चलती रहे और टक्कर वक्कर ना खा जाए. सो एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर, that is your role. Ensure control. Why control? So that the company does not hit the speed breaker and get into trouble. With risk management, and value creation is important for a company, risk management is also equally important for a company. As an independent director, that is what is expected from you, that you will help the company achieve risk management through corporate governance and necessary compliance. So whatever legal laws, rules, regulations, statute, whatever they are, all those compliances are being taken care of as country's representative. Please remember, as an independent director, you are representing the whole country on the board of that company for the reasons which I have just explained. Taking it as an opportunity for self-actualization as per Maslow's need hierarchy. Please remember, what I'm saying is that being on the board of a company as an independent director is something which is extremely phenomenal in the career of anyone. Because you being appointed as an independent director, that means somebody has put so much of faith and confidence in you. And therefore, make use of that opportunity for self-actualization. एंड व्हाट इज सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन? सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन इज कि जो भी आपको मालूम है, जो भी आप जानते हैं, जो भी आपका पोटेंशियल है, जो भी आपकी कैपेबिलिटीज हैं, उसका पूरा इस्तेमाल करके कंपनी के लिए फायदा करो, सो दैट यू हैव अ tremendous amount of satisfaction at the end of the day. So friends, these are the expectations, which is the part number 2 of how to become an effective and useful independent director. Let's go to part number 3. And please remember, before that, of course, the summary of your role as an independent director is to help the company remain focused on its vision, mission, and remain compliant with corporate governance, rules and regulations. So this is, friends, is the role that you have as an independent director. Please make note of it, and I am sure if you take care of all these points, you will prove to be a phenomenally fantastic and excellent independent director. The third thing which is expected from anyone who is an independent director is financial literacy. It is an absolute necessity. Absolute necessity. Remember, जब बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स की मीटिंग होती है तो उनकी लैंग्वेज क्या होती है मालूम है आपको? द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स की जो मीटिंग होती है उसकी लैंग्वेज इंग्लिश नहीं है, हिंदी नहीं है, मराठी नहीं है, फ्रेंच नहीं है, जर्मन नहीं है, पोर्तुगीज नहीं है, स्पेनिश नहीं है, चाइनीज नहीं है. So whenever the board meeting are happening, remember, what is the language in which the board members talk to each other? They talk to each other in the language of finance. So when the board members are meeting, how they talk? IRR, NPV, discounting rate, ROI, ROCE, COCE, and things like that. EBITDA, gross profit, ROI, PE, CA, CR, and things like that. So what they speak the language of finance. And therefore, as an independent director, as a person who wishes to serve a company as an effective independent director, your financial literacy has to be of extremely high level. Why? Please remember, अगर 15 लोग हैं, 12 लोग हैं, बोर्ड मीटिंग चालू है और आप उस कंपनी के इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर हैं और आपको फाइनेंस की नॉलेज नहीं है, यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड फाइनेंस, एबिडा क्या है, आरओआई क्या है, आरओसीई क्या है, सीओसीई क्या है, ईवीए क्या है, एनपीवी क्या है, नो यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड ऑल दैट. All the 14 members of the board are talking in those language. You may be a phenomenal expert in your field, but you will not be able to understand as to what they are talking. And if you will not be able to understand as to what they are talking, remember, you will not be able to contribute. And if you will not be able to contribute to that discussion, obviously it will lead you to the frustration. And therefore, the third requirement for being a successful independent director is to have a very high level of financial literacy. क्या करना होगा उसके लिए आपको? उसके लिए आपको सबसे पहले understand what is purpose of a business. And I can tell you in very simple words, purpose of any business across the globe, पूरी दुनिया में कहीं पर भी कोई बिजनेस है, उसका एक ही मकसद है. क्या मकसद है? Create value by making profit. Create value by making profit, और make profit by creating value. ऐसे बुलाओ या वैसे बुलाओ, दोनों का मतलब ही एक है. So what is the purpose of a business? Is to create value by making profit. That means what? When you go and sit on the board of a company, what should drive you? What should drive your thought process? Your thought process should be driven by this fact that the purpose of this company is to create value by making profit. I will ensure that this company truly creates value by making profit. So that is number one. Number two, अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज लाइफलाइन ऑफ अ बिजनेस। क्या मतलब है? इसका मतलब ये है कि समझ के लीजिए कि वो ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ है जिससे कि बिजनेस को लंबी लाइफ मिलती है। एंड रिमेंबर दैट थिंग इज कैश प्रॉफिट। कैश प्रॉफिट। सो व्हेन यू आर सिटिंग ऑन द बोर्ड ऑफ अ कंपनी, be always driven by cash profit, not by profit, because profit is only on paper, cash is reality. Focus on cash profit because that is the lifeline of a business. So second thing that you must remember is the cash profit. Have these thoughts ingrained in your system. ये दोनों दो चीज़ें जो अब तक मैंने डिस्कस करी हैं पूरी तरह से अपने मस्तिष्क में बिठा के लीजिए कि पर्पस ऑफ अ बिजनेस इज टू क्रिएट वैल्यू। अगर मैं इस कंपनी के बोर्ड पर हूं एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर, माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज टू एंश्योर दैट दिस कंपनी क्रिएट्स वैल्यू एंड दिस कंपनी क्रिएट्स वैल्यू बाय मेकिंग प्रॉफिट। दैट मीन्स मुझे क्या करना है, मुझे कंपनी के बोर्ड पर बैठ के ये पक्का करना है कि कैसे भी करके ये कंपनी प्रॉफिट करे और वैल्यू क्रिएट करे। अगर मैं ऐसा कर पाता हूं, आई एम ए सक्सेसफुल इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर। उसके लिए मुझे और क्या समझना होगा कि कम बिजनेस की लाइफलाइन क्या है। बिजनेस की लाइफलाइन है कैश प्रॉफिट। कैश प्रॉफिट का मतलब क्या है? कैश प्रॉफिट का मतलब वो प्रॉफिट जो बिजनेस ने कमाया और आपके हाथ में है, दैट इज कैश प्रॉफिट। दैट इज कैश प्रॉफिट। बुक प्रॉफिट हैज गॉट नो मीनिंग बिकॉज इट इज ओनली ऑन पेपर। सो एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर बी ड्रिवन बाय कैश प्रॉफिट। देन अंडरस्टैंड द प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट। ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट क्या है, COGS क्या है, एबिडा क्या है, SG&A क्या है, EBIT क्या है, EBT क्या है, EAT क्या है, EPS क्या है, CEPS क्या है। ये सब का मतलब समझ के लीजिए और क्यों समझ के लीजिए वो भी समझ के लीजिए। Why should I know what is EBITDA? Not only I should know what is EBITDA, but I should also know why do I need to know EBITDA. Because EBITDA is a number which is very critical for any business. Any business whose EBITDA is strong, that business will keep on doing fantastically well. But if the EBITDA of a business is going down, that means it is an indicator that this business is going into trouble, running into trouble. There is a relationship between the EBITDA and the borrowing power of the company. What that relationship is, understand that. So look at the profit and loss, understand the profit and loss. And friends, let me tell you, it's not very difficult at all. अंडरस्टैंडिंग प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट इज नॉट डिफिकल्ट एट ऑल। अगर आप फोकस करके कॉन्सेंट्रेट करके अगर करेंगे तो आप 2 घंटे में पूरे P&L को बड़ी अच्छी तरह से समझ सकते हैं टू बी अ सक्सेसफुल इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर। देन अंडरस्टैंड दी बैलेंस शीट। व्हाट इज बैलेंस शीट? बैलेंस शीट में क्या क्या आता है, क्यों आता है, और जो बैलेंस शीट में आता है उसकी क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है। करंट एसेट्स क्या हैं, करंट लाइबिलिटीज़ क्या हैं, नॉन करंट एसेट्स क्या हैं, नॉन करंट लाइबिलिटीज़ क्या हैं, करंट एसेट्स ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए कि कम होनी चाहिए, रिजर्व्स क्या हैं, रिजर्व का मतलब क्या है, शेयर होल्डर्स की कैपिटल क्या है, उसका मतलब क्या है। ऑल दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड देन यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज कैश फ्लो। कैश फ्लो का मतलब क्या है। व्हेन अ कैश फ्लो इज अ गुड कैश फ्लो, व्हेन अ कैश फ्लो इज अ बैड कैश फ्लो, that is what you and I need to understand as an independent director. Why? Because cash flow statement, remember friends, will help you to make a strategy for the business. And as an independent director, your role is to help the company prepare a strategy to ensure that the goals and the objectives of the organizations are realized. And not only you need to understand the balance sheet and the profit and loss and the cash flow, you also need to understand the relationship between 3 of them. वो तीनों में क्या कनेक्शन है। अगर P&L में प्रॉफिट हो रहा है तो उसका कैश फ्लो पर कहाँ इम्पैक्ट होगा। अगर P&L में इनकम हो रही है तो उसका बैलेंस शीट में क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा। बैलेंस शीट में कुछ हो रहा है तो उसका कैश फ्लो पे क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा। दैट इज व्हाट यू एंड आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड। यू एंड आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड। एबिडा है, एबिडा यानी कि प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, और बोरोइंग यानी कि बैलेंस शीट। तो एबिडा और बोरोइंग में क्या रिलेशनशिप है। अगर मेरी एबिडा कम है तो मैं कितना बोरो कर सकता हूँ, और अगर मेरी एबिडा ज़्यादा है तो मैं कितना बोरो कर सकता हूँ। मेरी एबिडा अगर श्रिंक हो रही है तो मुझे बोरो करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए। सी बिकॉज इफ़ यू हैव अंडरस्टैंडिंग of the finance, then you will be able to tell the management, tell the owners and the promoters and the other directors, look gentlemen, the decision that you are contemplating is not in line with the financial prudence, because your EBITDA is shrinking and you still want to borrow more. That means you are putting the business into financial risk. That is what you would be able to tell the board only when your understanding about the finance is sound. So take care of that. And then once you understand the balance sheet and P&L and the cash flow relationship between three of them, then you would automatically be able to read the financial statements and make sense out of them, and then be able to contribute to the discussions and the deliberations which are taking place on the board of a company. Then we come to the fourth requirement for being a successful independent director. So fourth requirement for being a successful independent director, for being an effective independent director, is ability to facilitate good corporate governance by the company. So that is the fourth requirement. अब इसमें आपको क्या करना है? As you can see, number one, there are certain parameters. So as an independent director, there is a minimum knowledge that we need to have. So what is that which I need to have? Number one, obviously, if I am getting appointed as an independent director, the first thing that I must know are the provisions under the Companies Act relating to appointment and qualification of director. That is what I should know. And for that, I should also know the Regulation 17 of the LODR. Then I must have a good knowledge of meeting of board and its powers. Obviously, if I am getting appointed on the board of a company as an independent director, then I must know as to what are the powers of a board of directors. And for that, again, you have a provision in Regulation 17 of the LODR that you need to take care of. You need to know what is audit committee and what are the roles and responsibilities of the audit committee. And remember, audit committee is as important practically, virtually, as the board of directors. And why is that so? Who will be on the board, on the audit committee, and why, and things like that. So that is what you need to understand. You also need to understand section 149 and 150 of the Companies Act that relates to independent director, which is your role. Need to understand related party transactions, a very important corporate governance issue. So section 188 of the Companies Act talks about the related party transactions. और मुझे बताने की जरूरत नहीं है क्यों related party transactions की समझ हमारी अच्छी होना जरूरी है, because related party transactions is one mode through which bad corporate governance can happen, and I'm sure you can understand how. So not only you need to understand section 188 of the Companies Act, but also regulation 23 of LODR and also Indes 24. Indes 24 is Indian Accounting Standards 24, which is on related party disclosures. So all these three things that you need to have a good understanding, and the best part is when you read them, you will find many of the things are common. Then you need to have a good understanding of role and powers of the auditors, which is section 143. Obviously, because auditors have a very important role in the function in ensuring corporate governance through the proper audit of the business. So you need to have a good understanding of section 143. Accounting standards. So section 133 of the Companies Act will talk about the accounting standards. Regulation 48 of the LODR will also talk about the accounting standards. Plus, there is an entire gamut of the accounting standards. There are 39 of them. You do not have to understand all the 39 of them, but at least you must know that these accounting standards exist, and at least you must know 20 of them, which are generally applicable to most companies. And why I am saying that you are supposed to be knowing, because I am looking at you as an independent director who is a chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, MBA. So obviously this is the minimum knowledge which can be expected from you. And then finally, you need to have a good understanding of corporate social responsibility. So what are the accounting standards? So friends, these are the 39 accounting standards. 14 of them relate to the presentation and disclosure, 15 of them relate to balance sheet and P&L, and 10 of them relate to consolidation. So this is the entire gamut of the accounting standards. You do not have to worry about understanding all of them. What you need to worry, you and I need to worry about is only these 20 of them. So about 10 pertaining to presentation, about 9 pertaining to financial position in the P&L, and 1 pertaining to the consolidation. So ये जो accounting standards हैं 20, इनकी हमें fairly good understanding होना चाहिए. Remember, when you are there on the board of a company as an independent director, there should not be any discussion that happens in the board where your contribution is not there. So you have to make sure that you keep on contributing throughout. If your understanding as a professional, as accounting, finance and legal professional of the standards is good, you would definitely be able to add good value. And that is what the managements of the company, the promoters of the company or the government of India is expecting from the independent directors. Because as an independent director, remember, you are a professional director. Let's come to the last part. Last part of this session, and that is how to become an independent director. तो पहले तो मैंने आपको शुरू में बताया कि independent director होने के लिए you should have a conviction. And what conviction? Conviction that you have something that you can share with the corporates, with the companies, and help them create more value. So one is that conviction that you must have. Once you have that conviction, the second thing that you must be clear in your mind, that you must be a leader. You should be willing to give a lead a team. And once you have both these things, so once you have the conviction, yes, I have something that I would like to share with the corporates so as to help them make more value, create more value. Second, yes, I think I have the leadership qualities. Once you have these two things, then you think of writing this proficiency test. फ्रेंड्स, मैं आपको बताऊं कि ये प्रोफिशिएंसी टेस्ट बहुत ही आसान है, और जो पहले से ही अकाउंटिंग प्रोफेशनल हैं, लीगल प्रोफेशनल हैं या फिर फाइनेंस प्रोफेशनल हैं, उनके लिए तो वैसे भी बहुत आसान है. प्लस ये पूरा जो टेस्ट है यूज़र फ्रेंडली है. सो सबसे पहले आपको क्या करना है, यू हैव टू रजिस्टर योर सेल्फ ऑन द वेबसाइट ऑफ MCA. इफ़ यू आर ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर्ड देन इट्स गुड इनफ. यू कैन स्ट्रेट अवे गो टू द IICA website and re-register yourself at the IICA website. वहाँ पर आप रजिस्टर करिए, पूरा डिटेल्स भरिए. उसके बाद में आपसे एक फीस का बटन आएगा, फीस भर दीजिए. सो वंस यू पे दैट फीस, दैट मीन्स नाउ यू आर एलिजिबल टू राइट द एग्जाम. Not only you are eligible to write the exam, but you can access 42 different modules of knowledge which are available online. तो वो सारे के सारे 42 मॉड्यूल्स आप वहाँ से पढ़ सकते हैं. बड़े अच्छे तरीके से डिज़ाइन किए हैं और बहुत ही कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली डिज़ाइन किए हैं. क्या उनके कंटेंट हैं? उनके कंटेंट आर वेरी वास्ट. स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द इनकॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ कंपनीज, share capital, general meeting, accounts of companies, debentures, bonds, acceptance of deposit, duties of directors, safeguarding directors, secretarial audit and compliance. So whatever relates to a functioning of a company, all those modules are available, all put together, 42 of them. So what you do, run through all those 42 modules online. And once you have gone through all those 42 modules online, and you can do mock test also. So every time you can do a mock test and check as to where do you stand. I'm sure अगर आपने उसको पूरे मॉड्यूल एक बार कर लिए 42, then it should be good enough for you to appear for the test. Passing of the test is there are the entire exam is of just about 50 questions, and each question is of 2 marks, and you have to score 60 to pass the exam, which I am sure you will do it very easily if you have done those 42 modules. And you get the result immediately. So as soon as you write the exam, you can book the slot online. You write the exam, immediately you will get e-certificate, and your name is then goes to the database of IICA as a person available for being appointed as an independent director. Today, as I was saying earlier, is the companies who go and pick up the person of their choice from the database of the IICA. So in case if you get registered, today what you will need to do is you will need to look for good companies and maybe talk to them and let them know about you, and in case they would be interested in taking your services as an independent director. Hopefully, and God willing, after a while, the government of India would stop this practice and they would appoint a centralized agency that would at random appoint anyone who is qualified to be appointed as an independent director. They will nominate people on the boards of different companies. That will ensure the true independence of an independent director. So friends, with this, now you are all set to write and qualify the proficiency test and then be eligible to be appointed as an independent director. Wishing you all a grand success as a true professional promoting good corporate governance and high ethical values and standards. So thank you friends, and wishing you best times. Take this as an opportunity to make a mark on the economy of this country. Whichever company you join as an independent director, be an example for others to follow. Thank you so much.